There we go. We are live. Mhm.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming for today's, or rather, this morning's question mark panel, the Waiting for the Muse panel. I think this is a topic that might ring close to home for a good number of us. I know it rings a bit close to me. So, without any further ado, I'll get us started. So, we have here our lovely panelists, whom I believe it would be better if they introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Amber, and I write fantasy and quite a bit of other things. And I am your host to creating this conference. And I do write quite a lot, and I'm always looking to help other people with their writing as well. So this will be fun. I'm looking forward to this now.
Sounds good. Thank you. And next. Uh,
Hi.
yeah.
Um, sorry. Hi, I'm Elle. I also write fantasy. Um, and yeah.
All right. No, that's all
Um,
good. I think most people here write some vein of fantasy. All right. Thank you. Um,
Oh
would
boy.
anyone else? Oh, you don't write fantasy?
I do, but all right. So for me, I'm Steve. I've
Hi,
been a
Steve.
DM. Hi, hello. I've been in DM for roughly 8 years. And the settings would go through um with standard high fantasy, setting for D&D, but also did low fantasy and then like mid fantasy, and then did the Star Wars module, the no, not module, rule book as well. So I did one in Star Wars, and
Nice.
then I did a cyberpunk version
Oh, a
as well.
cyberpunk version.
Not like the cyberpunk 2077 thing, just like inspired by cyberpunk and work with the
Ah,
players
Cool.
to create something out of that. So that was cool too. So
yeah,
I
very,
mean,
very cool.
yeah. So it's one of my favorite, more of a sci-fi person than fantasy. But I like Harry Potter like everyone else. No, it's fine.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
And is that all of us? No, wait. No, is that all
Yeah,
the
that's all of
panelists?
us. Yeah.
Wait,
No, that's
oh,
it.
okay.
It's just
Okay.
us.
Awesome. All right. Now, in that case, we can actually get started with the panel. So, as I mentioned earlier, waiting for the muse. So it's something that some of us tend to do, partially because we're not 100% sure how to actually start writing. We think, oh, I'm gonna write, but I want to be inspired to write. But what happens if you're not inspired? So if you're not feeling it, do you just not write? And for some of us, that's actually the case. If we're not inspired, we don't write. So we're here today to actually try to discuss this to see if there's anything that can be done to actually try to navigate the realities of waiting for the muse. Because the reality is sometimes we have to write even if we don't feel like it. So the first point I'd like to bring up is writing. This is actually something that our local editor John has said. He believed that writing is the art of making decisions. When you decide to write something, or how to write it, or how to write the scene or the dialogue, you have just actually taken the first step towards actually writing the thing. So for the panelists, I'd like to ask you, when you make these decisions about what to write and how to write it, how does it affect your writing and your mood and your inspiration?
Well, yeah. As Del mentioned, John, our editor, says it all the time, and it really helps with inspiration because it makes sense. I mean, it just people make decisions all day long, and for example, like um, like, what shirt am I going to wear? Like, you open your closet, you grab a shirt, even you're not thinking about it, you still made a decision, thankfully, to wear a shirt for one thing.
Uh-huh.
And then you have to, if you're trying to match your shirt up to the rest of your clothes, or if you're not, you've made that decision to do so. So,
Hmm.
with writing, you a lot of people will like just think that, yeah, I'm not inspired by this, or I don't know what to write, or anything. And then you have to
Hmm.
make that decision to uh, just make one decision about something. And for example, okay, I don't know what my character is like, or I don't know what to write about him. Well, make
Hmm.
one decision about it. So make a decision. Okay, can you name him? That's a decision. That's a
Yeah.
step. Or can you? What does he like to do? Does he like to play soccer with his friends when he like after work or something? That's a decision about him
Yeah.
because you now know something about him. So sometimes it's not necessarily it's not necessarily writing a whole thing. As long as you make decisions about your character or your arc or anything, that counts really as writing.
Hmm.
So, anybody else have
Right.
anything to add with that?
Yeah. No, I
Um,
think that checks out.
sometimes sometimes it can be which project am I going to work on. I try to keep
Yes.
at least two going at once. That way, if I just can't make myself work on the one, I can go work on the other one.
Mm, mm. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
And there is one more person. Wait, forgive me, I'm not very good at names. Who was the last panelist?
Oh, me.
Ah,
Steve.
Steve. Okay, yeah. It's hard. It's hard when you don't get to meet people face to face because the face name voice connection doesn't hit as quickly. But yeah, Steve. Any input to add?
I no.
No. Okay.
Ah, I don't know. Like, okay, so, um, I guess just well, this is bad. In a nutshell, like
Yeah.
any hobby, you're not human. So if you're doing writing as a hobby, then it's not it's not something that you should take lightly. It's you take time to learn and understand things. So learn how to pace yourself would be I'd say that's
Mm,
one thing you should do. That goes for just generally anything, really. Uh, if you're trying to be a successful writer, someone
right.
that like has their wants to do it as like the main job, you have a lot more work to do. So if you ever somehow run out of inspiration, or if you're worried that you lost it, um, it's okay to take a break.
Uh-huh.
Don't be afraid to like stop doing it for it could be a week or a month or maybe a few months or a few years, maybe. Uh, See if you can do other creative things. You might come back. Um, uh, Also, just maybe like surround yourself with people that do write, and then try reading.
Mm,
So it's I mean it might not be specifically writing is the problem. There could be another problem in your life that you might have to like tackle first to get back to
right.
writing.
Yeah.
But
It's just
like
like
that's
anything
not
else. Yeah.
yeah yeah but that's not what this panel is about. So I can't help you with your problems, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So
Unfortunately. I mean, can you not? Are you sure?
I mean maybe.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So all three
Uh,
of you have touched on it briefly just now that deciding things helps you write. So the next question I'd like to actually ask you is, say you've got that spark. You've actually started writing, but how do you keep the motivation? How do you actually make sure that you keep yourself in a mindset that is conducive to writing? Because it's hard sometimes. It's anything that requires maintenance. It is one of those things where you kind of have to keep doing something to be able to keep doing it. So how do you keep your motivation and your willingness and your mindset on writing? Is there any particular process or step you guys take?
So, uh, for me, I'm used to doing it with like players, right? So I do have help in like in some way, at least like some kind of like direction at least, where it's like what the player wants their character to be.
Uh-huh.
So that helps to some extent because then it gives me like, oh, this person wants to be, you know, the best like fighter ever, right? So I'll do it the way where your standard kind of training thing where maybe they have a mentor, maybe you have go if they're traveling a lot, then it could be several different mentors. They learn one thing or two things from them, you
Mhm.
know, like a nugget of wisdom of some kind, and have them fight stronger bad guys. Turn it more into like a puzzle, where
Mm.
it's like the player would be there's some specific like wouldn't like front load them, just more like the enemy has some kind of specific strategy. It's not wouldn't be that difficult,
Yeah.
but it makes things it just keeps things interesting where it's like it's a one-on-one fight. The player has whatever moral values, you know, beyond being the best. Maybe he's doing it for his father, whatever.
Mm.
And the bad guy has some kind of either if it's like a minor villain, then it's just like whatever rudimentary things that they need, golds, food, I don't know, pride issues or something, or you know,
Uh-huh.
like or thinks that they're better than everyone else, and you know has to prove it or whatever. Some kind of
Right.
like you know vaguely toxic masculinity trait. And then if it's like a more like you know like an antagonist kind of role, then it would be of course like something much more complex in terms of like having the same kind of like values as the protagonist, but probably sees things in a different light, or
Right.
believes that like in order to like if the main prize to be like the world champion is said item, the antagonist could be someone that uses like more underhanded techniques and is more after the item itself than the glory, the
Mm.
you know the main prize. So a quick just like you know the, that player just you know was more like lawful good, meaning that he does things by the book
Right.
kind of person, like your standard police officer, kind of like iconography.
Okay.
And then so the antagonist would simply just be of course the reverse. I think it's not that deep, but it's deep enough for D&D. So like you know it's definitely gonna be a lot different than writing a book, but like as far as
Right.
I'm concerned, it's essentially just like it fills the basic things of like the hero's journey. So
Mhm.
it's at least like compelling enough where the player wants to keep playing because of the story,
Right.
not because let's just smack things until they stop moving, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you know they want something quality. I'm going to like you know go read books, go watch movies, go play games, that kind of thing. Because D&D is closer to a game than it is to like a video game than
Yeah.
it is to a movie or a book. However, they all share more or less the same kind of like story beats.
Okay.
So
Thank you. So
yeah,
that's some strategies you've got here to keep motivated, right? What about the other
Uh,
panelists? Anything you want to add to that or bring up?
yeah, there is a website. The website I write on, it's actually called For the Words, like as in like the number 4. And
Mhm.
it keeps track of my writing streak. I think I have to,
Yeah.
as long as I write so many words on there a day, it will track that. And because I've been able to get my brain to like get that little bit of a dopamine hit there, seeing that number tick up. And it resets if you don't write.
Mm.
Just by
Eh,
doing that
eh,
and having that kind of external reward.
right.
Because
So that negative reinforcement.
I'm not one of those people that can say, oh, well, if I sit down and get my writing done for the day, I can have this, I can buy this thing, or I can do this thing, or I can go play this game or whatever. Because my brain will tell me, well, you could just do that now.
Right.
Whereas with that, I have to sit down and do it to get the reward.
Right. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. It's a bit of negative reinforcement. Never hurt. Actually. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. I thought
Crazy.
about it, and I'm like, wait a minute.
Oh no.
It's positive reinforcement too, because you get stuff, or like you have your little avatar and it gives you stuff for them
Okay.
That's
completing
So,
it.
so
So
it like Pavlov's you into like into a positive
yes,
mindset. Okay. All right. Well, look, obviously very different strategies here. Was that no? That there's one more panelist, I believe. Yes.
Yeah, there's me.
Yeah. Blue.
Um,
The blue.
for for me, actually, from to keep up my motivation to write, a lot of it actually is talking to other writers, to be honest, and because I'm
Talking to
always,
other writers.
like bouncing off either my ideas, or I'm talking to them about their books and their writing, and it just it will help me, inspire me to like, I really want to share more of my story with you. I need to actually write that story. so
Yeah.
so I'm just sharing like different techniques and all that, like we're doing today.
Mm,
Like like I really liked talking to people just about writing and sharing those snippets and stuff, and but also um sometimes for me just to get like started, sometimes I can do a- sometimes just like setting aside like part of the day to like, not even part of the day because my schedule is usually all over the place. So I sometimes I'll be like, I'm just gonna set aside 10 minutes to write something, It doesn't matter.
mhm.
It doesn't matter if it's part of your, like your chapter. It's helpful if it is, but even if it's just like a scene that's on my brain or something, I'll just match it up later. Or maybe I want to outline.
You want
Yeah.
outline? No, not outlining.
No, well, like sometimes it's just for example, John actually taught me this too. He was like, you like try to if you're not quite sure what to write, you can just sit down and think about ahead of time like that chapter, and,
Mhm.
and just make notes of what you think you want to happen in that chapter. And sometimes that doesn't all get done in 10 minutes, but that's okay because I'm ending on a positive note because I've written something, and that means the next time I sit down to write, I have a jump off point to
Mm,
go for, right? Because I've already
mhm.
made some of these notes, and if I end up writing more than 10 minutes, that's a totally bonus, really. But I
Yeah,
try
yeah, yeah.
off some place where I need to jump off with, but occasionally, like, like I might finish a sentence and then be like, okay, I know what's going to happen next, and I'm ready to write what happened next, but I'll stop the writing session there. And the next time I sit down, okay, I know where I'm going. So that's kind of
Mm.
how I keep my motivation up. But sometimes my hamster wheel brain works, and I will leave off in the middle of a sentence, and then I come back and I'm like, what the hell did I do?
Yeah, okay. So this the way you're describing this actually I feel segues quite nicely into the next point that I wanted to bring up, which is actually keeping up your motivation if you have, let's say a hyperactive mind, like you have ADHD, for example. So it is a bit more challenging for people to keep their motivation or even keep their focus on writing when they have, well, as you say, when they have a hamster brain or the memory of a goldfish or the eagerness of a golden retriever, all of these things, right? So do you panelists have anything to share with regards to like keeping focus and motivation if you're easily distracted?
um, write in short bursts.
Right, in short bursts. Yeah.
I yeah. I break down my to-do list unless I have something like this where it's at a set time. I write down anywhere from 17 to 20 things I want done. If I only have like the 17, I include breaks or reminders for like, hey, drink some water, stuff like that. And one of my biggest things with my ADHD is decision paralysis, where if I'm sitting there trying to figure out what to do, I will take up all my time deciding what to do. So I go through the day before, I write down 20 things I want to do, you know, and it's always 20 because I use a D20 to decide what I'm going to do next.
Oh, okay.
It takes the decision out of my hands.
Mm-hmm. That's smart, actually. Maybe I
like
should start
that.
doing that.
Yeah,
Funny.
it's a good one.
And a combination of starting medication last year and doing that in the past year and a half, I'm gonna say. I could tell you an exact amount of. I think I'm on day 400
Oh my god. Day
of
400?
writing consistently every day. Something.
Congratulations. That's really good.
Okay. Wow, that's actually really helpful. I have been told as well
I've
that
written, I know, at least 100,000 words in that time.
wow.
At least. A lot of
Okay.
it was rewriting stuff, but
Hey, it counts.
it's writing.
It counts.
So, yeah.
That counts.
And I went from literally, other than, you know, short notes about like doctor's appointments and stuff, not writing anything for a solid at least 2 years before that.
Mm.
That's great.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you. That's actually extremely good advice that I might implement myself. But yeah, would Steve or Amber like to chime in?
I mean, like with me, I don't have ADHD, but I am very easily distracted, so I can totally sympathize sometimes. Because I'm the amount of people who know me, they know I multitask very easily, and sometimes I'm juggling a whole bunch of things all at once. So sometimes for myself, it's a matter of minimizing the juggle balls. so so I will try to like that's another reason why sometimes I'll set a timer. Sometimes I find a timer works for me. I will sit down, like I said, for the 10 minutes and just focus on that. Like it's a short burst, and I make myself to just like make decisions and do something. But like I said, sometimes I will literally leave off in the middle of the sentence, and occasionally this has happened at least twice where I've left off in the middle of a word, and then I come back and I'm like, "What the fuck is this?"
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, "What was I trying to say?" And I have to backtrack. So, but I try not to do that. So I've at least tried to finish a sentence.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I just basically try to uh, minimize the distractions and minimize the chaos in my head a little bit, and just write a couple of things. And that usually helps a lot. Just write, like 2 sentences or whatever. I'm good. I wrote something.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And finally, Steve, anything to chime in? Any novel strategies or?
Oh, jeez. With ADHD, it's really difficult because there's different flavors of ADHD, and
Yeah.
as anyone with ADHD knows, or any mental disorder of some kind, it's buy one get three free, and
Oh.
yeah, they're usually
Yes.
connected in some way. So that's it's a hot topic. All right, in a nutshell, if you primarily have ADHD problems, then if one of them is being distracted easily, then I highly suggest finding ways to learn how to focus and learn how to do something for a long period of time. This takes some effort trying to figure out like how do you make sure that you know your like the tiny things that lead up to the big things, where it's like if the end result is like what happens, that what leads up to it, why do you do these things in that order, or it might be in whatever order, and then
And-
from there you got to keep working backwards and figure out why you do the way you do anything, that kind of thing. And that'll make it a lot easier to help structure your environment, which then helps structure your brand or organize your environment and organize your brand,
Yeah.
kind of thing.
It's
Another, oh, go
hard
on.
to give advice to. I was gonna say it's hard to give advice. Like what works for you might not work for me.
That's the other thing.
I have
So-
I have to have music going really loud in my ears in order to be able to focus and work on stuff. And I know other people with ADHD who are just like, if there's any noise at all, I can't do it.
Oh yeah, no,
Mhm.
I'm like that sometimes, but like I figure that like I'm saying that like I gave just like a very general kind of like help thing, because like
Yeah.
the by organize I don't mean specifically having everything perfectly like square or whatever, or like everything is in boxes.
Yeah.
It could be organized in a way that looks like it's like put together and not things thrown everywhere.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Like, because like
Yeah.
I struggle organizing things with ADHD, where I just have boxes of stuff and I just label them. There's no order, but they have labels. I will find it, maybe. Whatever it is. But yeah, that's the other thing, being with like, if you do struggle, like with like Ali said, then with like you need something like a TV show or music, then that's another strat. Another one being I personally need I have two computers. One's for like games and the other's for like work related thing. Like not like, I shouldn't say work. But like for writing, basically. Like it's meant for like, that's the, you know, even though D&D is a lot of fun, I still consider it's like, oh, this is like, it's still a responsibility I have to do because I'm the one leading the group. So I got to make sure that like I know what I'm doing for that session, and it's I can't just do a couple of notes. I got to know how the scenes work and everything, and that takes like more on a work kind of ethic for me personally than fun. And I couldn't do it on one computer because I would just be like,
Tempted
I'll
to
play some
too
games and come
easily
back to
tempted.
it.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll get back to it a week later. I'll get back to it. I just don't know.
Baldur's Gate is right there, and it's D&D adjacent.
Yeah,
So,
it's
you
I'm
know.
basically studying and
Same thing.
working. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
working and playing at the same time. It's fine. Don't worry about it. This vaguely, a sci-fi game similar to this sci-fi movie that I saw that one time a long time ago or something. You know, like it's fine. Don't worry about it. No, but like
Don't worry
that's
about
the
it. Yeah.
I removed myself from my
I'll,
room. Yeah, and going somewhere else might work too. If you can't like afford a second computer, it's fine. Don't. I mean, I get that they're expensive sometimes.
Yeah.
But just like making sure
But
I
you could also
divide.
put it on an external hard drive, or like all my games are on external hard drive, flash drive, whatever. So
yeah,
when I'm needing to work, I have that unplugged, disconnected, where it takes more effort to get to them than to just do the thing.
yeah,
See? Yeah.
that's yeah.
Mhm.
They're probably half as expensive or less than buying a whole nother like laptop. So that's
Yeah.
also another option.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's the making sure you separate yourself might be something you need to do.
Mhm.
It depends on, again, you know, different flavors of ADHD. I don't know which one you have, but these are just something that's worked for me, kind of thing.
Okay.
So yeah.
All right. Okay. Thank you for that. Some really useful things, I hope, for anyone in the audience who might have any one of these ADHDs or other, shenanigans going on in their head. Now, I'll touch on something you mentioned there at the end, well, end-ish, Steve, where you mentioned, you tried to organize things in a way that's, it's not completely scattered, right? So basically ideas for your writing. Oh, so it looks like someone has a kid nearby. But yeah, so ideas for writing. So, you know, let's say you're motivated to write and you're actually putting words down and you're like SpongeBob in that one episode where you're like, I'm doing it. And then you just put one word down. It's just but you're doing it, but you still have to write something with some direction. That is, you need ideas to put down into words. So for you panelists, what are your favorite ways or your preferred methods to try to brainstorm ideas? Because writing ultimately is putting down ideas onto paper or, well, into a computer. So, how do you guys do your brainstorming for ideas?
For me, people are horrified by me because I'm just sometimes a discovery writer. So sometimes I just sit down and just write the thing without thinking about it. But it still works because I think we mentioned this in a previous panel. I forget which one at the moment, but like leave it with the reader who was saying sometimes the first couple of chapters are like your tryout for a chapter because you're just exploring your ideas, exploring your words, your worlds, your characters, and I basically do it like that. But I will also oftentimes just pick one thing to think about. Like for example, if I want to think about my environment, I will maybe make a note about the environment, and then I'm like, okay, what do I want my readers to know about it? And then I can take a look at pictures and stuff. I can take a look at, descriptions of where it is. Like if I want to know the street names or whatnot, I can actually pick a city and look at it and just make decisions in there. But it's mostly for myself. When I brainstorm ideas, I'm making a decision about it. I'm like, okay, do I want this or do I want that? That kind of thing. That's how I do it. Yeah, that's my way.
Okay, thank you. Because when it comes,
I keep a running list. I keep a running list of all my story ideas. And then I will pick one, and when I'm still in the more planning sort of phases, I'll either make or find a list of questions about it and sit down and answer as many of those as I can. Who are my characters going to be? What's the world like?
Yeah.
Okay. And so you find that writing things down helps you brainstorm your ideas. So do you ever expand the work that you've written? Like, oh, you wrote a shorthand note, I will create this lore about this. And then do you find that you expand that compels you to expand the lore, or do you just stick with what you've written?
I'll go through and do like the big picture questions, like who are my characters, what kind of setting is it, what do I want this story to be about, and then I'll pick one of those and make a more detailed list of questions. If it's a character, what do they look like, what's their relationship with my other characters, what's their background, what things do they like, what do they not like. Sometimes I'll even go so far as to, well, if they were in this kind of situation, what would their reaction to that be? And that really helps me kind of get to know them. With world building, it might be like, all right, so I have my big overall setting. What countries are there? What do those look like? What kind of political structures do they have? What kind of climates do they have? And it just kind of expands.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. So when it comes to brainstorming ideas as well, I think some of us can agree that it can be really fun, really engaging. Like you have a story building in your head, you're smiling, you want to make this thing come true, but it can also be a bit exhausting. Because I don't know how many of you would agree with this, but I almost feel like mental work tires me out more than
It
physical work.
does.
Yeah, like if I spend 1 hour,
Mhm.
let's say jogging, versus 1 hour just purely focused on like thinking up story ideas and how to implement them and plotting and structuring and planning, I find sometimes I'm more tired after the mental work rather than physical work. So taking care of yourself when you actually do all of this writing, planning, motivating is essential so that you can keep doing these things. So I'd like to ask you panelists, what is your method of self-care to ensure that you don't go insane or strain
Um,
yourself too thin while you're doing
Too
all
late.
this? Too late?
I actually I my brain does not like not having something to do. So
Uh-huh.
I will work on stuff for my business when I'm not writing and vice
Mm,
versa. And just doing that will keep me kind of fresh,
okay. So
so to say, so if I, am getting a little burnt out on the writing, I'll go and, polish some dice or even if one of the other adults is available to hand the kids off to, I'll go cast some dice or
mm,
I'll crochet something or I'll be, going over the kind of business plans or finding upcoming, events to vend at. Um,
right.
I I cannot I do not do good with just, oh, sit still and relax, and I don't relax.
You
It's
don't
stressful.
relax?
Yeah,
Okay.
relaxing is stressful.
You don't relax because it's stressful. That's a new one for me. Who else here in the panel? Uh,
Counterproductive.
does anyone here in the panel have anything to say about that?
It sounds stressful.
Okay, yeah, it sounds stressful. All right. Because admittedly, it seems a little oxymoronic. I don't relax; it's too stressful. I'm not quite sure
Well,
how that works.
All right, so if I'm not doing something,
Yeah.
and granted, sometimes that something could be, playing a video game where it's something that's I'm actively engaged in. If I'm not
Mm,
doing something, it stresses me out.
mm, okay. Interesting. Well, I guess we're just on total opposite ends of the spectrum here, so to speak, because I'm not sure I can follow that, but I'm glad it works for
I
you.
get, I hear that. It's just kind of like
Mm,
because you're always like sometimes like with not me personally. I have a roommate kind of like that. She doesn't like she if she's sitting there doing nothing, she feels like she always should be doing something, you know.
mm.
So and when she's not, oh, so she's always busy doing this or that. And I'm like, do you ever like just sit down, like turn your brain off? And she's like, no. So, oh, I understand that.
Yeah. Okay.
yeah. For me, for my favorite self care thing, I love chocolate. Come on.
Chocolate, chocolate. Okay. Yeah. Look, this is why I gained some weight. To be honest, I love chocolate. I love chocolate.
Yeah.
Uh, I should probably try to
But
lose
no,
weight. Taking
honestly,
chocolate.
if I'm like, yeah, do you want to make sure like um, self care is obviously important, and it's actually very important to being inspired because if you're tired or you're hungry or whatever, not going to be your brain's not going to be as engaged in your writing. So you should take care of your own needs. Like if you're hungry, stop, go take a snack. Like no, nobody's forcing you to write. Hopefully,
Yeah. Hopefully.
like yeah, like
Yeah. You have far more faith in me than I do. Thank you. It's nice. It's nice to be believed in.
Yeah, so like just take care of your own needs. You take care of yourself. There's nothing wrong with that. Like you should be doing that. If
Mm,
there's something going on in your life, it like say you have like I don't know, you have a stressful family life or whatever. It happened. It's fine. Um, it, like your writing, it will come. Sometimes you have to take other priorities. Just
mhm.
take care of your needs first. You need to go out. Maybe if people are in your house shouting at each other, and you really want to write, just maybe if you can take a walk, like go do make notes somewhere on a park bench, like stuff like that. Just take care of your own problem, you know.
Okay.
And so that's
Yeah, I've been.
yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
See, I'll say, oh, I haven't been writing. I haven't been able to focus on, to do writing because I have 5 vendor events coming up. But I
Right.
still like because I will not let that streak go. I still do the bare minimum.
Oh,
Sure.
So there's some people that are just like, well, that still counts, and I'm just like, it doesn't feel the same because it's not prioritizing it.
I mean,
yeah.
like for myself, obviously, as you know, I have been organizing this conference for the last couple months, and it's been really important to me to do self care. As I tend to do all of the things, and I am very susceptible to burnout, and so I make sure that like the other day, like last week, I went away with some of my friends to take a drive through zoo and just to kind of just get away from something not writing and not conference, And sometimes you just need to do that. And I think what a lot of people find sometimes is that they feel guilty for
Mm.
not writing.
Oh,
I am
yeah.
I am like I do that. I feel guilty sometimes when I'm not writing. Like I know I have so many projects to do. I have my book to do. I have other things. I have the conference to run. And like people are always constantly wanting me, needing me to do something, and or I feel guilty sometimes when I'm not doing it. But I'm
Mm,
like, I have to take care of myself first. You can't like you can only give out what you can't give out what you don't have. You know, so
mm.
if your tank is empty, you need to fill it with something. Like preferably water, maybe not alcohol.
Oh, not
Okay.
alcohol, not well, I mean, I know some
See,
people who swear by alcohol as a way to try to take care of themselves. Now,
my brain, because you said tank, my brain went in a completely different direction, and I'm just like, are you out here drinking gas? Should we be concerned?
Oh no.
should we be concerned?
No, we should not be concerned.
I think we should all be concerned,
But
just in
no,
general.
yeah, no, like it's like I've talked to it's fueled, yeah, well technically, um, but yeah, like I've talked to John about this before too. Like a lot of people do feel like guilty for taking care of themselves. But you should not, and
No.
you need to because that is I mean you can't expect somebody to output inspiration and
Mm.
ideas like you can, but it won't be it'll be very
It won't be
difficult.
Gucci.
Yeah, it won't be good.
See,
Okay.
that makes me think of the whole like spoon theory.
Spoon theory.
And spoon theory has never made
Oh, this.
yeah. Basically you have so many spoons of energy or whatever to do stuff with. That's never really vibed with me because like I think of like, oh, if I don't have a spoonful of whatever for baking and stuff, I just go to the store and buy some. You can't just go buy more energy. I prefer to think of it like D&D spell slots because
Yeah.
aside from a few class features, the only way to get those back is to rest.
I mean,
Yeah,
yeah. For those who have not played D&D, I'm so sorry for you. But I understood
Yeah.
that reference, and that's all that matters.
Um,
Okay.
okay.
So actually, at this juncture, we are coming closer to the end of the panel, but it's not over yet. But I did want to take this moment to try to bring up something that I think is pertinent for, I would say, perhaps more recent years, which is how technology can help us write and overcome, the barriers to writing and get our motivation. But one of those technological developments is the use of AI. So for you panelists, I'm sure you've heard about development of ChatGPT, this and that. Do you guys feel that this has any space or any role in writing or creating stories for you? Like, does it help you in any way?
I don't use it with my writing, but I don't use it in my writing, and I don't think it has a space in like actually the writing itself.
Mm,
I really cannot stand people who use it in place of putting in the work to write. But I do use it. It has been helpful with my dice making business to brainstorm ideas for, hey, I don't know what I want to make. Give me some ideas. So I think
mm.
it could be helpful in the brainstorming process,
Right.
Yeah, I get
just the
you.
same as like using a prompt generator would to get the ideas flowing.
Yeah, it's the same for us in an academic setting for uni. We actually have a um, similar clause, I suppose, where you can use ChatGPT to like generate ideas, but the actual writing has to come from you. Otherwise, yeah, if you do anything else, that's like academic misconduct.
And I know there's
Yeah.
people out there that are just like, no, you should come up with original ideas. No idea is original. I'm sorry
No
to
idea.
tell whoever out there thinks their book is original. It's not.
Mm,
The way you
Oh,
write,
yeah.
it's original and unique to you, but it's not an original idea. My book's not an original idea, and that's okay.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true. A lot of people think, oh, my idea is so unique, and like it is unique in the way that you were the one who wrote it, pretty much, yes. But the overall idea, it generally like saying that there's no new ideas in the world, so, but which can be interesting to think about. But generally, there's a lot of similarities. For example, if you look at our story today versus, like the Greeks telling their mythological stories, there's a lot of similarities, really. So, but
And
for the AI discussion, I'm interested. It's interesting for me because, yeah, I agree that no, you should not use AI to write your whole story and all that, or like because it's not just no, but to brainstorm ideas, I will use AI for it. I'm like in Chat GPT. Well, sometimes I just want to have maybe I'll ask it, give me a couple of story ideas about such and such a thing, and
mm,
sometimes they'll be like, oh, that's actually cool. I can use some of this, or for me, I do have trouble sometimes with descriptions or finding the right words for description or like
ah,
sound words from myself because I'm hearing impaired, so I may not necessarily know what a certain thing would be described as for sound. So I'll say,
right.
can you tell me the sound that such and such a thing makes when it does this? And they'll just give me pretty good ideas. I'm like, okay. Or if I'm asking it to describe a scene, if maybe I wanted to describe a metal kind of thing, and it will give me a good idea. And I'm like, so I obviously will not copy the whole thing. I'll just use a keyword maybe or something like that. I'm like, okay, I got what you're trying to say. And then I'll rewrite it in my own words, obviously.
Mm,
So I just think that it's kind of like an inspiration or like a little bouncing, like a peaceful to bounce things off of and just get ideas. But for the actual writing, no, you don't do that. Especially if you're trying to like get your book
Mhm.
out into the world. You want to have your own words, because it's pretty much like plagiarism, right? You're using
Right.
something else, so
Yeah.
you don't want to do that. Just like a whole holes you do not want to dig. So,
That's
Okay. The reason I brought that up is I just feel that it's become such a pertinent topic in today's day and age that I felt like it would be a disservice to not mention it at least briefly in terms of something to consider. Especially because, I think some writers have been given the fear, right? That, oh no, like what if writing takes away what if my AI takes away my writing job and stuff. Do you guys have any experience with that, or any assurances, or just any experiences really
um
with AI in the industry?
I mean,
my
if
thing
you
with
look,
AI. Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
I'll go. No, it's fine.
Um, not liking it isn't going to make it go away. Ignoring it isn't
Yeah.
going to make it go away. It's here. It's not going anywhere. So you might as well take it and use it to your advantage.
It's a tool, basically. It's just like it. I see it as a tool. Like it's not the end. It can be helpful to just bounce your ideas around, like what we are talking about, waiting for the news here. Like sometimes it's just like I'm kind of stuck. I don't know what to write about, or kind of thing. Like I actually use this for my yeah, and like I use this for like I'm trying to figure out an idea for my short story that I'm going to write for the next anthology. So I'm like, I know what creature I want to use, but I'm not sure about a plot kind of thing. So I asked her to list out literally 20 different ideas, and I'm actually like most of them were like, okay, I'm not going to do that, but a couple of them are like, okay, I like this idea plot and this idea over
Yeah.
here, and I actually used like three of them together and I merged them all into one hopefully cohesive story.
Uh-huh.
So just to kind of just get your brain going, I think it's okay to do that. We just don't rely on it. And
Yeah.
that's the problem with the generation of today. They rely so much on technology for everything, to tell you
Technology.
everything, right? So as long as you're not using it as your means to the end kind of thing. You're using it for your inspiration. That's okay. To just get your brain in gear and you're like, okay, I got this. I can take it from here, kind of thing.
And
Okay. Awesome.
there's
Yeah. I
there's
think I,
such
th- I think this is
a
all just about correct.
there's such a human element to storytelling that I personally am not afraid that AI is going to be able to replicate that. And yeah, sure, there may be some people that are just like, well, I might as well just go read an AI story. But those people aren't likely to be my target audience anyway.
Hmm. Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
pretty
Okay.
much.
All right. One of sorry,
no.
Stephen.
No, all right, if I go,
Sure.
or do we
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
time
Yeah.
still?
Yeah.
All
No,
right.
we still have time.
We got time.
It's not a strict thing. Of course.
Oh, okay.
Of course. Out of respect for everyone's time,
Yes.
I guess we can try to keep it short. But yeah, we're not super strict about it.
Gotcha. All right. So, in terms of like originality and then AI and such, um, uh, so I wanted to make a game. I can't draw for my life. I can draw stick figures, but um, so like, oh, I'll make a text adventure, which is just like what's it? A kind of like a create your own adventure book where you like go to each page kind of thing,
Mm.
where the text adventure would be much the same way, where you have control over how the story works. So the idea started out as horror, because of course it did, because like I
Huh.
love horror and mystery, keep things scary. But it's it's just difficult to write. It's the tension and pacing that are very important in order to like make the story interesting. So I went towards psychological horror because, of course, if it's not complicated, I'm not having fun. And I decided to have it take place on an island offshore, and spooky, scary, supernatural things happen there.
Spooky,
and
scary skeletons.
Yes, exactly. And the idea is that the main characters, there's two of them, have to go through a gauntlet of what it's like for their fears to become manifested in some kind of like physical, either like setting or furniture or monsters. You would have to go through that island of those problems and like work your way through them. That apparently is very close to Silent Hill 2, a video game that came out like 20 something years ago. It's also somewhat.
Oh, wait! Stop! No, don't say that.
What?
No. It's no.
What okay, I think we are out of time.
Yeah,
so I want to like
time.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, we are running low on time, so I think that might be it. Did anyone have any last minute questions or input before we end the panel? No.
So just to recap a little bit for your inspiration, pretty much don't just plunk down on your chair and hope something happens because it just works that way. So definitely writing is the art of making decisions. So as long as you make a decision about one thing, one detail, that is totally fine. It is okay not to write. If you are like suffering or you need to take care of something or take care of yourself, it is okay. You do not need to feel guilty about it. You just do what you can do, and if you write one sentence a day, that is totally good. So be proud of yourself if you get around one sentence, and that was a struggle. That is totally fine. So yeah, so I'm very happy to be here and have spoken to you guys about that. So, yay!
Awesome.
We did it.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for making this session possible. I know it can be a bit difficult sometimes with different schedules, but we did it. So thank you to the audience. Thank you to the panelists. And yeah, I can let everyone get on with their day now because I got shit to do too, and I'm sure you do.
Okay, I will end the recording right now. So.
Okay. All right.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Take care.